Hey, how goes it? We out in nature right now, doing a little photography shoot um, with my car here. It's real fun. Just kind of chilling. Wanted to make a little video about it and show y'all some of the pictures. But yeah, I'm just chilling. I was like, you know what? I feel like taking pictures right now. It just kind of happened upon me. I watched a video about some guy just going out journeying, traveling and taking pictures, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go out to a place that I don't know and just take pictures. Here's what we're working with right now. We got the R6 and the 70-200. I shot a whole bunch on the 70-200, so I'm gonna switch it up and use the 51.8. So yeah, I'm just really hoping that I don't get yelled at, because like there's like a lot of barbed wire around here, and I don't know which side of it I'm supposed to be on, honestly, because like there's just stuff everywhere. It'll make more sense once I show you the entrance to this place. But yeah, here we go. There's only one problem with all this. The lighting in here can be pretty tough. It's a really sunny day today. If I go up here. Yeah, you can see that, get the gist. That's why I'm choosing to shoot in the shadows, because you can get a little bit more flat. It's kind of interesting with the spots, but it ain't the best shooting conditions, so it's difficult to get certain things. Like earlier, I was trying to, I had the car kind of straddled between here and here, and had the dip in the middle, and I was like down here trying to get a shot of the reflection of like the car and the reflection with that water there, and it just like, you just couldn't see the water at all because of how dark it was under the car. So I might see what I can do, try something different. But yeah, we had this really interesting little hill here. I don't know how well you can see that. I'll show it to you when we get out. This nice little hill, and it leads up to this spot here with this wonderful tree that looks like dope, because it's just kind of sitting by itself in a field. So if I go up here, let me park here real quick, get some more pics with the 50 mil. There's also that tree looks sick. You can get a really interesting perspective. Like I sat really down low there and shot, the car was like right here, so you can get this really interesting angle with some good foreground depth. I'm just kind of experimenting with getting a whole bunch of different angles. I'm trying to learn more, but like right now I'm kind of experimenting with a lot of lighting, like seeing how I can get natural light to work well if I were to, you know, do this as a profession and I was going to use natural light. How can I get it to work well? How can I light a scene well, just using natural like shading, even when it is really hard lighting like this, but the shadows are super hard, instead of like an overcast day where the shadows will be nice and soft, because overcast days are just the best for this kind of stuff. So with the setup that I had going here on the way in, I'll show some photos from that, but like I was trying to get this kind of dynamic angle where you can get a little bit of foreground depth along with that big background depth, with the like trees and all the forest in the background. So basically what you're trying to do with depth is like, even if you add a little bit of things in the foreground, a lot of people are like, oh, it would be distracting, like that's their mentality, but not really. You can give it a little bit more of like a feeling of distance, and it can add a little something to the photo when you give it that depth. Basically what I think I'm trying to say is, when you add something in the foreground, it can spice it up a little bit. You can also do kind of what's called framing, where it's like basically if I were to set up here and I had something right in between these trees, that would be framing, because I'm framing them in between these two trees here. I've done a few shots like that. I did one earlier where it was kind of framed up between these two trees of the car, and it was up over here. Then there was also one where it was just the tree on one side. So you can really experiment with placement of not only the subject, but objects in the foreground. Like, a lot of people tend to think of only subject placement, Well, you have to think of both subject placement and your placement in comparison to the subject. So you got to be thinking like, you know, does the lighting look good from this angle of where I'm shooting? Can I get some interesting foreground to add to the shot while I'm shooting? Not distracting, but, you know, complement it. Does the light, is the background way overexposed? Like, for example, if I were on my camera and I were to shoot this right now, it would look awful, because the background would be way brighter than the subject. And you can get away with it in editing to a degree, but like everything up to that shadow line is gonna look a lot worse with this in the background, just because of how bright and overexposed it'll get. And basically what happens is when you have a really bright spot, if that's not the subject, it can take away from the image, because it's really distracting to have, because your eye will automatically go to that in the frame. If I were to just stand here and go like this, that might be interesting. If I were to stand back here and get this shot, and obviously I had a telephoto, so it was probably more zoomed in like this. But if I were to stand here, get that shot, get a little bit of that tree in there, this would be more interesting depending on how much I block the subject. But granted, my car was right here when I took it. So if I was right here, had a little bit of foreground something, or got down and had a little bit of brush in the foreground or a little bit of foliage, that can make it more interesting than just standing there taking a picture. You also got to think about getting low, because low shots look good. So if I was to do something here, say I had like a wide, I'm doing the ultra wide here, if it'll let me do it, you can get some really interesting perspective up to the vehicle or subject or whatever up here. So just something to think about. All right, well, we're gonna move on to the next spot and I will talk about what I did there. So here I had, these were kind of interesting. They weren't too crazy, but they were kind of interesting. So I had the car like way down there on the trail. It's a little bit difficult, as I was talking about, with these highlights out here, with how bright that gets, but I'm sure a little bit of editing of the raw files would do me some good. So some of the shots I decided to get low, get some of that interesting foreground. Hey, there's a bee. But yeah, I wanted to get some interesting foreground, see what I can do with this, because I think it looks a lot better to have something in the foreground and then just have a plain generic shot that you can just take like this. But I also tried some from back here. So for example, I'm gonna try and avoid the poison ivy this time because this is where I got it from. But I was right back here taking these kind of shots. Actually, I really like this one, so I'm gonna take this really quick. But let me get my camera real quick. But like basically thinking of interesting dynamic angles, get that composition down. You might be shooting on an iPhone, it don't matter, or a Samsung, it don't matter, or any Android really. It doesn't, like, you can get good shots with almost anything. You don't need this equipment, that's the thing. Like, I personally enjoy shooting on this, and I think it helps me further my skill. I did not start on this. I did not start on anything like this. I started in a classroom with some cameras. You don't even need to start at a classroom. Actually, I started on something like this, a phone. You can get really good stuff. If you know how to light stuff well, if you learn how to light stuff well, it does not matter what you're shooting on. Basically what happens is, like, this will help hone your craft, but this does not build your craft, if that makes sense. This will help you get better, but it'll only help you get better if you already have the knowledge on how to use it. You can gain that knowledge and make it even better and better. Bro, I really just broke this little, oh, you can't even see it. Just broke this little spider's web. Okay, well, I'm gonna get this shot really quick. Okay, so basically, what I was saying was, you don't need to start on some pro gear to get pro level shots. Like, you can start on a phone. That's what I started on, was a phone. You can get really nice stuff with just a phone. You just gotta like I'd say have a phone as your base. You already have one. And it doesn't matter if it's the greatest or not. No, just go out and take some pictures, bro. You just gotta put some time into it. Like, I'm out here doing this because I want to do it right now. Like, I'm taking time out of my day to go do this because I think it's fun and I enjoy it. And it's just nice to just get out here and be in this, you know, instead of sitting on my desk in front of a computer all day or in a classroom. Just go take some pictures on your phone if you don't have a camera yet. If you have a camera, great. Go do it. Go take some pictures. Go find some object. If you like nature, go shoot nature. If you like portraits, go shoot portraits. You can do street photography. It doesn't matter. You can just go in the middle of the street and take pictures of random people. Most of the time, they don't really care. You can meet people that way. You can get contacts that way, so you can, they will appreciate the pictures that you take of them. That's kind of a whole separate topic though. Whatever gear you have, like, gear matters, but you have to get into a certain point where it matters. Cause like, you can go out and buy a pro camera, pro glass, and you know, there goes $6,000, but you hate it, or you never use it, then what's the point? I go out and shoot stuff on my phone every day because the best camera you have is the one you have with you. I don't remember who said that, but it's facts. If I don't have my big camera with me, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna take pictures. I'm gonna take pictures on this thing and it'll look great. It'll look great if you know what you're doing with a little bit of practice. So yeah, that's kind of the point of this video. And here's the entrance, by the way. This is what I was talking about. I also took some pictures out here. I can like, you know, explain on that a little bit. I was having some trouble because I was back here, and now these might turn out pretty good. I don't know yet. I'm still out here. I haven't edited yet. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stand like right here. I'm gonna get some shots of the car and it's gonna look dope. Guess what? The background was just super blown out, like super bright because of those highlights and the sun. The car was like partially in the sun, so it looked kind of funny. Moved the car a little bit, tried it again, tried a different angle, went like up in here a little. It didn't work out the best, but it wasn't bad. See, I don't want this to happen when I'm taking pictures. That's the problem. But then I tried, okay, let's see what we can do out here from this angle. There was sun on this side of the car, and because the background's dark, it wasn't distracting at all, because you had some bright stuff in the foreground, but the side of the car was just as bright, so it worked. And plus it was all out of focus anyways, so it looked good. Now it's kind of easy to get away with that more because you can have like a really dark background and then a really bright foreground, and it's kind of fine if the light on the subject matches. I'm gonna take a quick pic. Also, one nice thing about phones, you can get them in places that you can't get normal cameras, so you can really mess with the angles because it's a really small little camera. Thank you guys for this little photo journey. It was really fun. I'm gonna go get some food because I never had lunch, so it's lunchtime. But yeah, go out, find some little local spots and take some dope pictures. Bring a friend with you. Took some really nice stuff of like low light the other day. I can pop those up on the screen too. That was really fun. There were just some like ultra low light pictures with city in the background, and it was sick. But like go out with your friends, or like, you know, I usually find it's fun with like one or two other people, because if it's a big group, then you got to deal with a whole lot of people. But I find like one or two other people, you go out, have them as a subject. Imagine what you could get if you had a subject out there, like how dope that would be. Thank you guys for this little journey. I hope to be posting more content. Honestly, I'm really tired of college. I'm just trying to go take pictures and make videos and stuff. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys later. Peace.